Hey everybody, I am Branden Sewell. I'm the owner of Seal Pro Painting. I'm also the host of the Off the Ladder podcast, and we exist to help home service business owners learn so that they can lead well and ultimately live life off of the ladder. Today's guest is James Krell, and he is the owner and founder of Factory Direct Windows and Doors, located right here in Central Florida. Welcome to the show, James.
Thanks, Brandon. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So, just a little bit of history here for the listeners. I met James, gosh, probably 7, 8 years ago at the Orlando Home and Garden Expos, back when we were doing home shows all the time. And we had a booth beside each other. And just, when you're at those home shows, you have a lot of time to talk. So, met you there and just been connected ever since. So haven't really talked a lot in the past few years, but we're friends online and I see all the different things you're involved in. So anyway, for the listeners, could you give a brief introduction just on your new company and how you guys got started and what you guys do?
Sure. So myself and owner of Factory Direct Windows and Doors here. We're located in Oviedo, Florida, and we cover all of Central Florida, Brevard County, Seminole County, Osceola Lake, Orange, some Volusia, and we have a big warehouse in Oviedo where we go directly. We order windows from the manufacturer, we get them delivered there, and then we install them. So we do in-home sales. We're an in-home sales company, so customers contact us, reach out to us, we schedule appointments, we go in the home, we do a sales presentation, we have a sample, and then we write up the deals right then. Um, and we measure the windows, order them from the manufacturer, and then we install them. So my partner is a general contractor, and so we're licensed contractors, and yeah, that's a little bit about what we do.
Nice. And so I know when we met back in 2017 or 18, you were working for a Windows company there, so you had some experience in the industry as far as at least having like knowledge and understanding of what it took to have a Windows and Doors company. So obviously, what this podcast is about, as mentioned before, is it's about trying to get home service business owners to understand that you can run a great business and have a great product and service, and you don't have to be the one out there that is doing all of the work. You can build a business that doesn't have to rely on you for everything. So can you talk about what that's looked like for you? I think you said you've been in business for a year or a little over a year now.
So I think one thing is surrounding yourself with people that are like-minded. So I think that's
Hmm.
probably one of the biggest things is when we started this company, I had sales experience, but I never personally installed a window. Okay, I you don't want me to do it. That's not my skill set. But I had the sales background, and I had a relationship with a manufacturer. I had a relationship with installers. Had a good understanding of the business aspect of it, as far as marketing, and I was fortunate enough to, in over time, build relationships. One of my good friends is a general contractor. He's been a general contractor. He's a friend and a mentor of mine since 1986. So he's done all kinds of construction from the ground up. He also has a little bit of property where we were able to build a warehouse, and so that's kind of how we got started. And basically, I was doing sales for another company for some years, and I would say that our characters didn't align. He's a small business owner, and him and I didn't, have different values in the way I would want to run my business than he did. And so I honestly just decided to, find my partner at the time. We were just talking, and he said, "Well, why don't we open up our own company?" And so
Yeah.
now we're 1 year in, and it's changed a lot. So we started off where I was the only sales guy, and
Hmm.
and Rocky was the general contractor, and we had subcontractors doing the windows. So I would do, I would answer the phones. So I did all the marketing. Okay, I did all the marketing. I found a company to do that. I would answer the phones. I would set the appointments. I would run the sales call, and then when I sold it, I would sell it there. I would measure it. I would get all the permit papers filled out. I would order it, And then from there, my partner, it would ship, and then he would receive it in and manage the installers and make sure it gets installed.
Hmm.
And so I did that for 10 months. I was the only salesman. And then for the last 3 months, we've since hired two sales guys, and then I actually have a measure tech, and now we have a warehouse guy that unloads the truck. So we went
Hmm.
from, you know, and so now I'm stepping back, and now I'm doing the ordering, but I'm not driving around from house to house to house all day. I'm kind
Right.
of managing things. So I think we did it in a pretty short period of time.
Yeah.
Was able to go from, me basically being the business to, working in the business to working on the business.
Yeah. And I think, either way, like whether you're, doing sales, I think you're always going to be involved in some aspect of your business. And to me, the goal is to like get in that place where your strength is, right? And to really run from there.
Yes.
And, and I think that it's an incredible, like your story and how you guys started is what I really try to explain to people all the time. It's like you could start a business and you don't have to start on the ladder, meaning like going and doing the work. Because I think that's what most people's that I talk to, their biggest problem is they're like a tech out in the field or whatever you want to call them, and their reason for not growing or hiring people or anything like that is they say like, well, I can't find people to do the work, or nobody's as good as me, or if I don't do it, it's not going to get done. And I think all of those are just untrue. It's just a lack of understanding of how to run a business, how to attract the right people, and really how to just put the things in place that you need to grow a team. So the fact that you're doing that and you're doing it so soon it's awesome. It's like exactly what I want people to understand and see, is that you really can do this. It's just changing your mindset, I think. So, and I can say, I had recently referred you to one of my customers, and they just raved about how amazing you guys did, and they were so happy with the
Awesome.
process.
They
And
were they were super nice people. I mean,
oh yeah, yeah, they're awesome. I mean, they're gosh, I've Lori's been one of my customers for since the beginning. We've done
yeah.
pretty much painted her entire house and done some areas twice. So, but anyway, just to share with those who are listening, it's like you can have this type of business that doesn't require you there doing the work, and you can still create a great experience for your customers, still have people who do great work, and your installers, I'm sure you vet them, and you wouldn't keep them around if they didn't do great work. So as far as the window business goes, what is your ultimate goal with your partner? Like, where do you guys plan to scale that to, and
Sure.
what's your ultimate vision for it?
Well, so as we've talked before, my fiance is a business broker, and so she is one of the most successful business brokers here in Orlando, Emily Herbert. If you're ever looking at anybody who wants to buy or sell a business, um, but she basically I've seen successful businesses sell, and she has 50 listings right now. Just to put into perspective how many
Hmm.
transactions she does. Um, so, and I kind of listen because I like to learn, and
Right.
so my goal is to build this business to where um, I'm not in the business. I'm not in the day to day. I'm in, I'm up here.
Right.
And probably Rocky would like to retire in the next few years. So I think that in the next 5 years, I'll either buy him out and get
Hmm.
my contractor's license, or I will sell the business.
Right.
Because, if service businesses that are have good systems and processes and people in place, and the owner's not in the business every day, they
Hmm.
sell very well, and
Yeah.
they sell for a lot of money.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen she just sold we had a roofing company that $1.4 million. I mean, pool routes for a half a million. Um,
Hmm.
just a lot of these service based, a lot of people are buying them. They're traveling, coming from buyers will buy them. People from other countries will buy these businesses so they can get um, a citizenship. So these they're very sellable businesses, and so but you have to have the systems and processes in place. You have to have really clean books. I think that's
Hmm.
something that a lot of us small business owners want to write off a lot of taxes, by writing off everything and not paying any taxes. Well, then when you think about your asset is your business, you want it to look, if you want to get a new truck, you want to get, tool loans or, equipment loans from the banks or a piece of property, you got to have good clean books. And I think that's sometimes a lot of small business owners don't think about.
Yeah. No, I've heard it before in another podcast. They were talking about this topic, and they essentially said, like, when you operate your business that way, or like cash is another big thing with contractors. They want to take cash and they don't want to report it, right? And they don't want to put it in the bank. Well, what happens there is you're devaluing your company, because then you're not showing that revenue, you're not showing that profit, which, in reality, it just ends up hurting you from a sellability standpoint. You want to
For sure.
report everything that you make. You want to, obviously you don't want to, pay more than you have to in taxes, but, pay your taxes, show you have a legit business. And so I think those things, as you mentioned, are going to help you with having a sellable business. And I say all the time on my podcast, like, you should have an exit strategy for your company, right? If you get into it and you don't have any type of exit strategy at all, I just don't think that's wise. So I love that you're talking about the things that I talk about quite often. So, you mentioned that Emily is a business broker. I don't know how much you can share with the audience, but from your experience, knowing her, knowing about what that looks like, could you dive a little bit deeper into some of the best practices for business owners to take to make their business sellable? What are the things that help and what are the things that hurt? If you
What I
could dive
find is
into that.
people don't want to buy a job. Okay, so
Hmm.
like, say for instance, I owned a kickboxing gym. Okay, well, I bought it with the idea that it would be very passive. Okay, it has a manager in place, had coaches in place, and it seemed good on paper. And I just said, okay, so I bought it, and then I went and opened this company, and so I kind of lost my focus on it. Well, um, that place, for that really place to be successful, it needs an owner operator. It needs somebody to live there and live it. So, but nobody really wants to buy that. Nobody wants to they want to buy the thing that's easy, right? That they can just, invest their money in it, and then they do the payroll, they come and they say hi, and then they get their money. So the more that you can make yourself not a necessary part of the day-to-day functions of the business, the more sellable your business will be.
Hmm.
Um, that's the number one thing. And then books, having good books that are clean and easy to see, because business is selling a multiple of the net, right? So depending on so like, say for instance, your business has been open for, we'll say 5 years. You've been in business for 5 years, and you as the owner are pulling in a year profit. We'll make it easy, $300,000 a year, right? That's how much you're putting in your pocket. Now that's now she also, what a business broker will do is they'll do what's called do add backs. So they'll go through your taxes and they'll say, okay, the health insurance, the cell phone, the car bill, the all the things that are really your household expenses but that are being paid through your taxes, they'll add those back into the profitability of your store. So say for instance you take home 200 a year, but you have another 50, or another, we'll just say another 100 a year for the numbers to make that easy.
Hmm.
They'll add back that in there. So even though you only paid taxes on 200, you may show 300 that your value is. Then they'll do a multiple of that depending on what industry that you're in.
Hmm.
So, and how long you've been in business. So if you've been in business 20 years, you may get 5 times the net. If you've been in business 3 years, you may only get two times, or 2.5 or 3 times. So, it really depends. There's a lot of different things involved with the multiple of net, but it really comes down to how much you profit, and then it's a multiple of that. So if you make 300, you put $300,000 a year in your pocket, you could probably sell your business for around $1 million.
Hmm.
So, and as you grow that number higher, then the multiple becomes higher. So now if you're netting $1 million, well, now you may have a 5 time or a 6 time multiple. Um,
Hmm.
your business sells for $5 million.
Right,
Which,
right.
I know. Would you like to sell your business for $5 million
Oh
or
yeah,
ten
come on,
million
somebody.
dollars, or you know? So
Yeah,
it's just setting those, knowing what that helps set that plan, that exit strategy. So
yeah.
when I go to exit, I know that I have to have clean books and I have to make it to where I'm not working as much, and then
Right,
then
right.
and then those are the two things that'll make it sell.
Now, from your experience or standpoint, like so, for example, let's define like day to day. So, like right now, I actually just hired my I had a salesperson in 2022, made some mistakes, didn't work out, but now I have a salesperson again. So I'm not doing I'm not required to do like the sales every day. I'm not doing any of going and doing any of the jobs.
Yeah.
I have lead painters or foremen on every job, so they manage their own job and their guys. So really, the only thing that I'm doing at this point is managing and oversight, I guess. Making some of the decisions on like what we do for marketing or going to networking meetings and things like that. So, like, what do you think that's a level that is good, or is it like
Yeah,
you?
so a lot of times business owners will have to stay on for a certain period of time. So Emily just sold a gynecologist office, right?
Mhm.
It's one guy. He's the gynecologist. He delivered 400 babies,
Right, right.
himself. And so obviously it takes some time to transition that new owner into the business, right? So
Hmm.
now, because you could have somebody that may have, been an engineer and they go, I want to own a painting business. Well, your
Hmm.
business would be perfect for that because it has painters already. It's got the phone systems. It's got everything. So then you'll just transition them to what your role is.
Hmm.
Um, so the more you have to do, the longer you may have to spend doing that.
Right.
The more industry specific knowledge you have to have in your role, right? So now if your role is more marketing and more over decisions, that's easier to possibly transition to somebody as opposed to this paint shade works for that. I need eggshell and satin, and I don't know. I'm not a painter, but if you try to
Yeah.
hear what I'm saying, um, yes, it's a sellable business. Obviously, if you're, you know, um, not in there day to day, you got somebody else answering the phones. You got somebody setting schedules. You got leads coming in. You have, it's a machine that you're
Right.
just kind of running.
Yeah. So, I mean, essentially, what it sounds like you're saying is but even the more that you remove yourself from even being needed at all, it's not necessarily saying whether your business is sellable or not. It's almost like you make it more marketable and more attractive.
Yeah, it's going to sell for a higher. It's going to sell for a higher multiple. People are going to be. You're going to have a bigger buyer group for it. It's going
Hmm.
to be. It's going to sell. Some businesses take 6 months, a year to sell. It's not like a
Right.
house where it's 90 days and it's gobbled up. You
Right.
can. It can take a year to sell a business, and so that's just a realistic thing that people have to understand. If they're thinking of selling a business.
Yeah.
Um, but the cleaner your books are, and the more removed from the day to day stuff that you are, the easier and faster your business will sell.
Yeah, that's good. Now, there's a couple different things that I want to talk about. One is going to be marketing, and then I also want to talk to you about just because you're involved in a lot of different things. I know you've got this business. You just sold the kickboxing gym. I know you're doing real estate. Just kind of want to get an update on what all you've got your hands in. But as far as marketing goes, you guys have obviously got this off the ground pretty quick. What are some of the things that you've done, or what would you recommend to people who are wanting to bring in enough lead flow to keep teams busy, to be able to really have a business? Because I mean that's part of it, right? Like if you don't have enough business to like hire people and keep people busy, then that's obviously going to be a challenge. So what are some of your marketing tactics? What are you doing to get that off the ground and keep it going?
So I think when I started this business, I knew that marketing was going to be a big factor because the window business is very competitive. It's a high dollar ticket, you
Hmm.
know, and there's a lot of guys that have been doing it a long time here in Orlando. If
Right.
you type in window door companies here in Orlando, there's a lot of them. So it takes a lot to do marketing. It's hard. It's probably the hardest part of the job.
Right.
Um, you know, I feel like you have to be. There's two different things. You have to be a marketing company and a customer service company
Hmm.
that provides a product or a service, right? Like, so you have to be. Marketing is key. So I think right off the get go, I knew that we were going to have to put a lot of money into it. So, and we do about 10% of sales is what we were
Right.
budgeting at first, especially trying to get into, this market here.
Which is
And then
pretty aggressive, you know.
it's pretty, but it's really not. When you start to talk to other businesses like mine, that's kind of what it is. It sounds like a lot to a lot of people, but
Yeah.
then they're not maybe successful, right? Their businesses aren't doing well because they're like, well, that seems like a lot of money. It's and well, that's probably why you're sitting here, not
Hmm.
to like, but so we invested heavily at the website and SEO right from the get
Hmm.
go. So I mean, I made sure from day one that we, invested in those things and were very, even from the name, we were tried to pick a name that was people think they've heard of you before. I saw your commercial on the TV. Well, no, you haven't, but you heard another window company say our windows are factory direct windows. You know, you've
Right.
heard that, right? So it's just things like um, that help with marketing. So now we were this small company where people thought were much larger just by the name, and then through the marketing.
Hmm.
I hired a company that manages our social media. They can do 3 posts a week for us. I give them content, and they make professional posts for us on
Hmm.
all Facebook, Instagram, um, LinkedIn. Now, I don't think that the social media itself is where you get leads from initially,
Hmm.
but it's good thing to have. And then
Yeah.
they manage all of our Facebook, Instagram, and our Google ads. So I have a company that manages all the AdWords, but all the ads. I just have to give them
The
raw
content.
content, and they put it together.
Yeah.
And they've done a really great job. I'll if anybody needs a referral, I can give you their information. Um,
Yeah.
but they've done a really good job, and I think I've just paid attention every month to how much we're spending, how many leads we're getting, how we're converting, and then every month I've been increasing it as we scale the business. So now
Yeah.
now that I have to, I have two sales guys that I'm feeding, and plus, well, I'm not really doing any sales now. My sales, my marketing budget has increased quite a bit.
Yeah.
And then, next year we're probably going to be doing a TV commercial. So now we're gonna jump it up a little bit. But I also, if you throw $10,000 a month right at the beginning and you don't have the systems and processes in place to handle it, now you're wasting leads.
Yeah. That's good.
So you kind of have to scale the marketing as you're ready to handle the new business.
Right.
So if you don't have somebody answering your phones and schedulers and enough salespeople to go out there and close deals, or then it's hard.
Yeah. No, it's not easy, but it to me it's like it's common sense, right? Like only one person can do so much. If you want to grow the business, you have to outsource all of these things that you're talking about. You can't try to do them yourself. If you want to grow and scale and build a business that's not going to require you in the day to day, like you can't have this attitude of like I'm the only one who can do everything
No,
because
I think
you just
you
can't.
can't. No, and
Yeah.
I think that from the last when the company that I was doing sales for, that was the mindset.
Hmm.
And and in our first year, we've done more sales than they did your set. Like not to, but you
Yeah.
have to rely on good people. I hire people that are better than me, like my measure
Exactly.
tech. My measure tech. That's not my strength. My strength is not attention to detail. It's not, you know, um, it's I'm not really great at drawing a map, or
They're
even my
right.
handwriting is horrible. Like that's and so I looked really hard for somebody that had skills that that are things that I'm lacking.
Right.
And I'll be the first one to admit that, I'm not, that's not my strength. But, this guy comes in, his handwriting is perfect. He draws these nice little maps. When I go to order, it's super easy. My installers love it now because they're not trying to read my chicken scratch.
Yeah.
And so that's just one guy.
Yeah. No, that's such a good point. I mean, it really, at the end of the day, I think our job is to find people who are better than us at whatever task we need them to complete, and then give them the trust and everything that they need to go and do that well. And like you said, I think you also have to have some humility and be able to say, like, hey, like, success is not me being the one who's great at everything. Success is how well can I lead others? How well can I delegate and trust these things to these other people? And it sounds like that's exactly what you're talking about and what you're doing. You're finding all of these areas of the business that are necessary to, like, make it run like a well-oiled machine. It's like, okay, I got to find somebody to do this. I got to find the right person to do this area of the business. And it's all common sense. It's like, okay, well, somebody has to answer the phones. When leads start pouring in, who's going to handle that? Who's going to handle the schedule? Who's going to handle the jobs getting done? Who's going to sell the work? And it's, to me, it's like,
Well, it's
okay,
solving a problem. So,
yeah.
like right now, this is our problem that we're right now addressing. That if you got some suggestions, I'd love to hear it. We went from, my mother-in-law answers my phones. She's a retired prison warden. She's great on the phone. She's got an amazing voice, super organized, but she also follows up with all of our online leads and sets all the appointments for the sales guys. Well, when we started, it was just me, and she was setting my calendar for sales. Well, now we got two sales guys. We're spending, tons of money a month in advertising. We got leads coming in. The phone's ringing all day. She doesn't want to do that. She doesn't want to do it. So now we're looking into a phone service. So now that's a problem that we're having. The phone's ringing too much for this person.
One person to handle.
Do you, so here's the thing. Do you hire a person, like a one person full time, to sit there and answer your phones, or do you outsource that to a phone service that can answer it 24/7? So that's what we're doing right now, and I'll let you know what we figure out when we figure it out.
No, I mean, I know both work, right? So, like, I've had admins who, like, I like going the route of having an admin who works specifically for me, and they're the only one who, like, handles the phones. That's just my style. But I know a lot of other guys who use VAs, so, like, overseas. I had a guy on the show recently. He owns a company called Ninja VA. So Branden Lazar, and he basically, what he does is he's had great relationships already built with these VAs in the Philippines. And what he does is he helps connect. He's like the connector, like he gets them connected to you, and then they work specifically for you. And he helps to manage that whole, like, process, and find the people who will work best with your systems, your processes, and all of that. And he vets them. But anyway, I know a lot of people who go that route.
We're interviewing a U.S. based company that
Sure.
basically they pride themselves on, because we've marketed on conservative areas, and we're my partner's Christian base, and we're the manufacturing is in America, so we kind of are trying to keep that as part of our culture, and part of our core values here is to try and not sell Chinese windows, and so we don't want to hire somebody from
the Philippines. Yeah, I get it. That's why I don't do it.
You know what I'm saying? We want to keep Americans employed if we can.
Yeah.
And so if there's some phone services that are because we get a lot of calls after hours, and it rings on my phone, and I want to answer it, because you want to capture that phone call anytime it rings. So I'm open to the idea of it. I'm sure that the American one's going to cost more than the one, but I'll tell you back in a week how much what the going rate for, or how that works.
Yeah. No, I mean,
as businesses grow, that they all face.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, for me, my decision not to use like a virtual VA in the Philippines is the same as yours. Like, I think about my own frustrations as a consumer, and that's how I like to try and make decisions as a business owner. And one of the things that I've never liked is like getting on the phone with someone who I can barely understand or have a
No,
hard
it's a
time
quick way to lose
communicating.
business in a service business. Unfortunately, it is what it is. People want real connection.
Yeah.
They
They
want
want to be able to call, be able to have their and it's a thing too about like just like the efficiency, the quality of the experience. Like when I call somewhere, I want to be able to get an answer quick. I want to be able to be served quick. I want to be understood and understand and make that process as painless as possible. So what I found is like with my admins is I found that that's the best thing that works for me. And
that may end up
honestly,
that may end up being our solution.
yeah.
I may try this thing and hate it, and go back to I'll hire Jennifer to answer the phones, or
You're
whatever,
right.
whatever person that is, but will Jennifer answer the phone at 8 p.m.? Is she going to answer it at 10 o'clock at night, at midnight, on a
Yeah.
Sunday morning? Is she going to answer? But you know what? The call center that has, four Americans, that speak
Hmm.
English as a first language, they'll do that, right?
Right.
So, you know,
Yeah.
what, that's the issue that I'm having right now. That's the next hurdle that we're trying to come up with.
Sure. Well, I think the encouraging thing that I always think about when I face challenges in my business is I always like to think like somebody's already figured it out, right? So there's a
Yeah.
solution, there's a way to do it. It's just figuring it out and then making it happen, right? So I think that's another thing. Like a lot of people might think that they're alone or like these are new problems to be solved.
Right.
And it's like they're not. Like somebody, it could be somebody in your town, it could be somebody in another city, a state, but somebody has figured out the thing. And that's kind of like why I love doing this podcast because it's like helping to find those common problems and then trying to help people like avoid the mistakes or have a shortcut to making the right decisions for their business because there's so many problems that we've got to like we've already got so much on our plate as home or business owners and we're trying to figure out how all of this works and it's not a thing that's like stationary or it's moving, it's dynamic, so it's like you're not getting a chance to like slow down and just focus on one problem. It's like you're trying to figure out this thing while you still got everything else going on in your business. So it's not easy, but I think that's why we do it. We
You
like
just
the
have to
challenge.
make a decision sometimes. You just have to
Yeah.
make the decision and move forward. And then if that decision didn't work and you tried it and then you make another decision and you keep moving and
Yeah.
I think I've been good at that in my life, but it's also hindered me. I've had shiny object syndrome. You said, what other businesses and I've liked to try several different things. I've done
Right.
real estate and I opened up, I bought a kickboxing gym and then I was fixing and flipping houses and, that was wholesaling houses and I got a rental property and then, I started, I've done all kinds of things. So now what took me a little while to figure out was I need to focus. I
Yeah,
need
so
to
let's talk about that. So, I think a lot of us as business owners, entrepreneurs, we have that. Like we want to go out and we want to conquer, we want to go do something great, we want to be successful. And so we can see all of these different opportunities and we just want to chase them and go after them. Now, you have a lot more experience in that than I do. So just speak to like maybe those who are listening and they have that. Is it I don't know, I don't want to say is it worth it because obviously like you learn something from it, there's value in it, but is it what you thought it would be? Is it something that you'll continue to do? Or when you talk about being focused, what does that look like for you? Why are you making that decision? Can you just share some wisdom to the
Sure.
listeners on that?
So, I've I like to learn. I like to learn new things, right? And then I've
Hmm.
found myself that once I've learned something and kind of gotten good at it, I kind of get bored with it.
Sure.
Um, and then I had to find how did I like to do business? How did I like to do business? Um, and so, so for real estate, right? I did real estate and I liked it. I like houses. I enjoy fixing houses and helping people buy houses and sell houses, especially sell houses. I enjoy helping people sell houses.
Mm-hmm.
What I didn't like was the what it took to be a realtor. Making all the phone calls, sending all the emails, just hounding, just
Mm-hmm.
constantly, reaching out to people. Hey, I'm a realtor. Hey, I'm a real estate agent. Hey, I'm a real estate agent. And so I was like, so I did it for a while. I'm like, I just don't like that. I just didn't. I was good at it. I
Mm-hmm.
just couldn't keep that energy up that required it. And so then I was like, all right, well, I'll do this wholesaling houses, right? I'll find these deals and I'll make some money, flip some houses. But it was the same thing. I was chasing people. I was
Yeah.
chasing people that um, maybe didn't really want to talk to me, right? So I'm text blasting people, and and they didn't like that. So then, whereas this business, because of the marketing, they're calling us. They're calling me for a product that they want, and so
Right.
now I found that that's how I like to work now. Um, I like that. People are calling me, hey, schedule it. We want you to come out and come see us. That's great, right? I'm not chasing them.
Yeah,
They're
that's good.
they're coming to me. But this business right now is doing very well and it's growing very fast.
Mm-hmm.
And I cannot be distracted if I want to make this business, the people that rely on me in this business for their livelihoods and they want to grow it, I have to focus. So I sold the kickboxing gym. I'm looking at probably selling one of my rental properties here. And, I'm doing a little bit of real estate just because I like ugly houses and fixing them up. And if somebody needs it, I enjoy it and it's fun. And I still get that, but I've, I've boxed it into the things that I like to do,
Yeah.
right? So I like to, I like to buy ugly houses. That's fun. And then I like to, build this business. Those two things I enjoy. So I had to cut out some of the distractions um, to try and focus because that's just, financially, I think it's the smartest thing for people to do is if you get really good at one thing, laser focus on it, get it dialed in, and then
Mm-hmm.
that may give you some more, funds to invest in other things. But you know,
Yeah.
don't try to get your hand in everything, because then it's I don't know, it's
Yeah.
hard to be great at anything.
Yeah, that's really good. That's kind of, I mean, I love that you're sharing that, and I'm kind of like I selfishly asked that question because it's one that I wanted answered for myself because I have that in me to like want to, go and do this or go and do that, and but I've kind of just I guess I've been fortunate that I have made the decision to stay focused on my business because I realized like wow, how hard would it be to like do all of these other things but still have this be great, right? So I think that's really good wisdom to share. Obviously, you've done a lot. You're a successful entrepreneur, business owner. And obviously you have a lot more success in front of you. One of the things that I really like to talk about on here is just what are some of the things that you do to set yourself apart? What do your disciplines look like? What are your routines look like? How do you stay driven, an entrepreneur and motivated to keep doing the things that you're doing? What does that look like? What are the things that you feel like work for you?
So I think for me personally, I'll be true. It goes like this, and 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 I've listened to a lot of books. Any sort of. I listened to. When I wanted to do wholesaling, I listened to 300 podcasts on bigger pockets.
Yeah, right.
And then I listened to all the. I mean, when I'm driving all day, we're driving. You're driving to
Yeah.
sales appointments or jobs. I listen to a lot of audiobooks. I listen to a lot of podcasts on things about learning. That definitely helps me grow. I think putting my physical health first, making sure that I go to the gym. I haven't been doing that as much as I was doing. Prior to that, I was kind of, I was a gym guy, every 4 or 5 days a week. I was
Mm-hmm.
this last year, I'm getting back in it right now. I'm getting married in a few months, 6 months. So I'm,
Yeah.
I'm getting back on the
Hit it
wagon.
hard.
I try to go to the gym. I try to go to the gym first thing in the morning before I do things, and that's tough for construction guys,
Hmm.
that are getting up at 6 and going on a ladder, right?
Right.
Like, if you're getting up at 6 a.m. and you're working outside physically, it's challenging to also make that gym as well. I mean, I could just imagine. I mean,
Right.
I do sales and it's hard, but I found that if I do that, the gym first thing in the morning,
Hmm.
that helps as far as personal development. Always be learning something. Always be learning something and growing something and finding a mentor and finding somebody that you respect that's in that next where you want to be and
Can you
trying.
speak to that really quick? Like, have you, I know for myself, I've hired coaches, I've had coaches paid to be, part of programs and things like that. Can you speak to that? Is that something that you've invested in? Is it something that you recommend?
Oh yeah, so I did it. So when I got into real estate, the first thing I paid for an online real estate course. His name was Joshua Smith. He's great. He's
Hmm.
got a good podcast. It's Get Shit Done, GSD
Hmm.
podcast. Any real estate guys want to hear a good podcast? He's great. He's good. And so I paid for training with him, and it was, man, it was the best investment I ever made. It was like $1,500,
Hmm.
and he had all the spreadsheets and all my P&L. I still use a lot of the stuff from that.
Hmm.
Um, then, I'm a part of a lot of networking groups I was in, and then I paid for another one. I wanted to do wholesaling, so I wanted to do wholesaling, and I wanted to learn about that, and so I paid for another coaching program. Was another $1,200, $1,500, and it taught you how to do the systems and processes, and it told you how to make the phone calls and where to buy the lists, and all you had to do was do the work. And so I did that, and now actually I've been kicking it around now because now we're starting to get these sorts of growing pains. I'm thinking about possibly investing in another coach
Yeah.
now. Now I've always had a mentor, so my business partner. I mean, he's been kind of a mentor to me. I've known
Right.
him for quite a long time, and he's been married for 30 years. He's got a great family life. He's a general contractor. He was a real estate agent. He's owned several businesses, um, and he's a handshake man. You look
Hmm.
at him, and if he tells you something, it's the truth. You don't have to, you don't have to. It's the truth, right? And
Right.
so I've always really respected him, and so I've just nurtured that relationship over the years. Well, now we're business partners, and
Right.
it's been really good. And so I've tried to build those relationships, you
Yeah.
know, when I can.
Yeah, no, I think that's really important. It's something that I talk a lot about. And I think in today's world, like, you have people who get skeptical of like coaching or courses online. And obviously, I think there are bad apples out there, people who probably, rip people off and don't really add a lot of value. But I think if you can find somebody who can like refer you to a coach or refer you to a course or whatever it is, it's definitely wise to do those things because it can help you fast track your success, avoid mistakes, and get where you want to be faster. So I think that's definitely wise. Another thing that I wanted to kind of dive into is I think at some point I saw that you were like the president of like a networking group or at Kiwanis,
Yeah, the Kiwanis.
the Kiwanis. Can you like expound upon that, or are you still doing that? You said you
Yeah,
do networking groups. Like, what kind of value do those things add to your business? And yeah, just speak on that for a moment if you don't
sure.
mind.
So Kiwanis, for those of you who don't know, is a civic organization that is over 100 years old, and it's a group of men and women that meet together to help out children in the community. So I'm a member of the Downtown Kiwanis Club of Orlando, and we have about 50 members. Been around, and that club has been around for 100 years. And
Hmm.
part of that is we actually have a foundation where we do donations to local charities that deal with kids in the community. So I did it, you know, when I was in real estate, right? So you go to these BNIs or something. You're like, "Hi, I'm James. I'm a real estate agent. Hi, I'm James. I'm a real estate agent. Hi, I'm James. I'm a real estate agent. Hey, I'm James. I'm a window guy. I'm a this. I'm a that." The Kiwanis is different because you're there to help out the community. You're there to serve. You're there to, serve the local community where you live in. I mean, these are kids that are in impoverished areas, and so um, it can't be. For me, it wasn't business focused, but have I gotten business out of this relationships? Oh, so much. I mean, when I was in real estate, I
Right.
sold, $3 million in homes just to the members there, and then referrals, Rocky Metcalf, my business partner, I met him through Kiwanis, like we were Kiwanis Club members together. We built this relationship now, and now we're
Hmm.
building a business together. Um, I've met attorneys and accountants and, professionals that are like myself, that people that I want to be. These are, men and women that are successful entrepreneurs. They're, civic leaders, and it's been really beneficial for just my life in general. Um,
Yeah.
but coming from a place of service, not of what can I get out of this? What can I get out
Sure.
of this group? And I think that's what sometimes the networking groups are tricky at. It's tricky at really, you got to be able to build real relationships,
Yeah.
as opposed to just, here's my card. If you need a window guy, here's my painter. I'm a painter. People don't, they don't want to do business with a painter. They want to do business with Brendan and his wife and their beautiful kid, and that's who they want to do business with.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I think that's something that so I hired a coach a couple years ago, and that's one of the things he taught me is like how important community is, right? And that the networking groups, or like whether it's BNI, Rotary Club, or like you're talking about Kiwanis. I hadn't heard of it before until I saw you were involved in it, or those type of things. It's really about building community, and even like your business, I think, benefits greatly just by being a leader who is involved in your community. So if you want to talk about like marketing and growing your business, like you said, you don't necessarily want your motivation to be what am I going to get out of this, but you just understand that there's I don't know if you would call it this or have heard of it, but the law of reciprocity. It's like, if I give to somebody, there's like this just innate law that's going to come back to me. So, get out there and give to your community, get involved, give back. And sure enough, like when you do that, it'll definitely come back to you. So I think that's really valuable. Well, I want to kind of bring us to a close. And as we come to a close, I just want to open it up for you. And like I said, obviously our goal is to help home service business owners get off the ladder. In that light, is there any final like wisdom or anything that you would share with home service business owners, entrepreneurs, something to help them in their journey of entrepreneurship and being successful?
I think take action. I think you have to take action fast on before you think you need it. I think a lot of people analyze, and they get analysm paralysis. I can't even say it.
Analysis
That's
paralysis.
the word I'm looking for.
There we
So they
go.
get that, and then so make decisions quickly, and then if it's wrong, don't beat yourself up. Just pivot. Be able to make decisions fast, um, and build a team, build a culture of people that that have a similar view to you. And you can't do it all, so you have to build a team to be successful, or you'll stay on the ladder, right? If you don't build the team, there's always so much you can grow the business. And some people, they have to determine where they want their business to be. Some people they enjoy working with their hands, and they want to feel that connection in the business, and that's fine. It's everybody can run their business. Not everybody wants to sell their business for $5 million. Some guy
Hmm.
just wants to do really good work and be proud of himself, and that's fine. Just know where your goals are, and always be doing that next thing to get there.
Yeah, that's really good. In light of what you said on taking action and, moving fast, I think to help with that, you have to understand like failure is not final. So like you can make mistakes. You can make some pretty big mistakes as a business owner. I made mistakes in 2022 that I thought I was going to go out of business, but because I was doing that, but I learned from it. And then, I kept moving forward. I didn't quit. I just kept my head down and kept moving forward. And, now I never would have imagined then that I would be where I am now. So I think it's really valuable advice, and probably some of the best advice that anyone could get who wants to achieve getting off the ladder. It really is. You've got to, I think, one, get some perspective. Like, there's other people who are doing this, so you're not alone. It's not like you're having to create all the systems that are required to make it happen. It's not like you're having to reinvent the wheel. There are home service business owners who are successfully off the ladder and run really great businesses, have the systems and processes. So it's like, we'll look to those people for some inspiration, get ideas, educate yourself, and then take action. Take massive action. You're probably going to make mistakes. You're probably going to learn a lot in the process, but you'll do more than you probably thought you could.
No, agreed. I mean, agreed.
Yeah, and it sounds like that's what you're doing. So it's super encouraging to hear your story and what you guys have been able to accomplish in such a short amount of time, because it's just such a testament to a lot of the principles that I talk about on here quite often. So anyway, James, I really appreciate your time and being able to share so much value with the listeners. We'll stay connected, and maybe I'll have to follow up with you, down the road, see how the business is going, and do a follow-up episode and see where you guys are at in the next year or so. That would be cool to see how that's going. So thank you again for your time.
Thanks, Branden.
For those who are listening on YouTube, please like and subscribe. Drop a comment. Let us know what you think. Share it with somebody. If you're listening on Apple or Spotify or any other major podcast platform, please rate and review the show. And as always, thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time on the next episode of the Off the Ladder podcast.